What's up, everybody? Okay, so originally I was not even planning on doing a review tonight. I was preparing an announcement to do like a live review, but I was going through some shit earlier. Plus, like after I finished what I was doing, I kind of got lazy, so I was just literally just about to go to bed. But at the same time, I'm just like, you know what? Let me just do this review today, and I'll see what happens tomorrow, basically. So. Shout out to my homeboy Steven, aka Mr. Immobility One. He requested me to do this review. So review is Queen Latifah's second album, Nature of a Sister, released in 1991. Um, you guys should know who Queen Latifah is. I've done a review on All Hail the Queen way back. I believe it was 2013. I did a review on that project. Hip hop classic right there. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Had to remember people are sleeping, but fuck it. Okay, so like I said when I finished reviewing De La Soul Stakes is High, since I have Queen Latifah's first three albums and shit like that, I was gonna just finish her Nature of a Sister, and I'll probably do Black Rain sometime later on a month or early next month. I'm not too sure yet. I have a lot of albums to go through. So yeah, man, let's do it. Okay, so you guys should know who Queen Latifah is. One of the greatest female MCs of all time. A very good, dope actress, very good businesswoman. Um, After the release of All Hail the Queen, basically, she got all this critical acclaim, commercial acclaim, and she decided that she wanted to form the Flavor Unit. Now, the Flavor Unit is basically like a collective of, of a collective that promotes like, conscious. It's kind of basically the native tongues in a way, but with a twist and shit like that. Because the way the flavor unit is, they were like a lot more experimental. Let's just put it that way and shit like that. It was a lot more experimental because people that were in the flavor unit, there were Apache, recipe to Apache, of course Moni Love, um, Nikki D, of course, John A was in the flavor unit, the R&B duo, who I've mentioned in De La Soul's Stakes is High, which that took me by surprise because I did not know they were in the flavor unit. And most notably, Naughty by Nature, who at the time they were known as the New Style. They changed their names um, around that time too and shit. So okay, so yeah, and ironically too, that album, the second album was released the same day as this one, which I did not even know that. So yeah. Okay, so now a lot of people are going to be kind of wondering about if you look at the production credits at this time, you would notice that DJ Mark the 45 King, he didn't produce nothing for this album. Because in 1990, basically, he, from what I looked up, he got into drugs and things of that nature, and that made him lose his production deal with Warner Brothers at the time. And if you guys should know that Warner Brothers owns Tommy Boy Records and shit like that, so yeah, that kind of. Hold on. Yeah, that's the problem with viewing albums with records and shit like that. Sometimes the album might not be all the way in good condition, so you have to keep going back up and rewind it a bit forward it a little bit and shit. But way off. Fuck it. Other than that, DJ Mark the 45 King basically, he got into drugs and things of that nature, and so that was like he was the originator of Queen Latifah sound. So with this album, basically, I mean, you still had like some of the grittiness of All Hail the Queen, but it went for more, how can I, R&B. That is driving me crazy. Ugh. But, okay, that album went for more R&B slash New Jack Swing style, and the guy that was basically, and Queen Latifah, of course, she executive produced this project, as well as this guy named Shaquem Compare and stuff like that. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, and yeah, just be glad I got this album. Okay, so excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I keep stopping. I'm just trying to get myself together, but okay. So the producers include Naughty by Nature, Louis Vega, Soul Power Productions, K Cut, Neville Hodge, and of course Queen Latifah. And yeah, okay. So in 1991, this album was released. Singles album is known for, it came out with three singles: Fly Girl, How Do I Love Thee, and Latifah's Had It Up to Here. Yeah, okay, so this is the cover of the album. Pretty dope cover and shit like that. Nothing really to it. It reminds me of, like with this cover, like it just reminds me of what's that album? What's that shit called? You ever seen though? If you've seen like a lot of like soul albums from the like early to mid '70s, it kind of has that vein towards it. But yeah, and then this is the back cover. Fuck it. I really wish I could play some of the music, but that vinyl record was just scratching and kept repeating, so I was just like, fuck it. Alright, so 12 songs. Let's get this shit started. Track number one, Latifah's Had It Up to Here. Um, Nice way to start off an album. I love this song so much. Definitely Naughty by Nature produced this song, and you can tell because just the way the piano sample and like the tempo and the style, you can tell it had like a Naughty by Nature sound towards it, which I I have to be real. I did not even know that DJ Mark the 45 King didn't produce anything from this album and shit like that. I mean, I thought he would produce a little something, something, but nah. I mean, I knew he got dropped, cause he was going through some shit, but I did not know he didn't produce anything on this album. So yeah, I love the video for the song too. Very dope song. Love the song. Nice way to start off an album and shit. Basically. Track number two, Enough of the Rough Stuff. That was more like a braggadocio song to say the least. That song was pretty cool too. Nothing really to it. Like again, nothing really special. Track number three, One More Time. With that song, she was talking about a lot of different things, but one of the things I picked up from that one song was freedom of speech within the hip hop community and stuff like that. How basically, how rappers at a time, were getting bashed for like freedom of speech. So yeah. Track number four, Give Me Your Love. Um, that song was a Soul Power Productions produced joint. It kind of was influenced by the Curtis Mayfield song. it had an interpretation, as to say, of the Curtis Mayfield song "Give Me Your Love" from the what's the album? The Superfly soundtrack. Classic, classic, classic. I done a review on that a while back, so that song, it was okay. It was okay. Track number 5, "Love Again." Um, that song, "Love Again," I love the song. It's talking about unity within the races and shit like that. It kind of reminds me of Cool G Raps and DJ Polo, "Erase Racism." Some of the beat kind of reminds me of that shit, but yeah, very dope song, and I definitely need to get my hands on that album and shit like that. That album kind of goes not this album, of course, on "Wanted Dead for Alive." That's a classic album, and I need to get my hands on that. Track number 6, "Bad as a Mother." I could have done without that song, to say the least. Track number 7, "Fly Girl." That song, to me, it took me a while to get into because that was the first single of the song. And with that song, New Jack Swing and R&B was very popular, like in 1991 and shit like that. So they were kind of going for that more sound, and you can tell with the background vocals, that kind of like the drum breaks they were using, like. But then over the years, I've appreciated the song more. It's kind of like one of her. I'm gonna save. Let me save most of this when I finish the review. Track number 8, "Sexy Fancy." Uh, that's funny name though, but that's like a reggae dancehall song. Very dope song and shit like that. Track number 9, "Nature of a Sister." That's maybe my favorite song off this whole project. For one, I love that damn beat. That beat just fits Latifah, basically. It fits Queen Latifah. It's like one of those beats you hear, you just automatically just recognize that shit. Um, she just going in on the mic. That's basically one thing I got from that. And that's another thing too. Queen Latifah definitely can spit. And like she never gets the thing about Queen Latifah I've noticed, compared to like her contemporaries like MC Light and of course like Roxanne Shante, she can spit like she can spit and stuff like that. And I'll be getting more into that when I review the Black Rain album. Probably my favorite album from Queen Latifah. But yeah. Um Track number 10, "That's the Way We Flow." That song features Safari, Sister Swatch. That song I love the way how they use the James and Bobby Purify song and shit like that. That sample. If you guys love soul music from the '60s, you guys should know the sample and stuff. But other than the beat, it was an okay song. Track number 11, "If You Don't Know." That should have been a single. That definitely should have been a single. It had everything right going towards it. Like, it had that James Brown sample, which a lot of people were using around that time, like 89 to 92. Because, James Brown samples, they were using it, it was still popular, but something about that sample alone was among his most popular. And it still baffles my mind, like, that should have replaced "Fly Girl" as a single, in my opinion. And then the last song, "How Do I Love Thee." Um, that song had like a house feel to it. If you listen, it reminds me of two things. For one, it reminds me of R&B music in the mid '80s and shit like that. That fast tempo R&B music. If you guys listen to what's that group called? Climax, definitely. And it also it reminds me of Madonna's "Justify My Love," especially like when she was kind of doing spoken word and the way her voice was. Queen Latifah's voice was mixing the song, it had like a house feel to it, something with Crystal Waters and shit. So yeah, that's a very interesting song. I like that song. And now for my verdict. This is a very slept on album. And I know what you guys are thinking. I was kind of like, you guys, I think I call it slept on, but I was kind of, in a way, bashing the album. Here's the thing that people need to realize when it comes to Queen Latifah. If you guys are true fans of Queen Latifah, you guys heard the All Hail the Queen album. She was singing on that album too. And she was doing some reggae-ish song. Like, she was doing some like reggae-ish songs on that project too. It's just that with this differences with this album is more of a bigger emphasis with this album. Like Coming to My House had like a house feel to it. Um Ladies First, she's singing harmonizing the chorus. You know, I can go on and on and on. And so a lot of people will kinda like bashing the album because like she kinda went soft on this project. And the way I see it, this album kind of fell victim of the Walking with the Panther syndrome, which I'm gonna get into that when I review Walking with the Panther. And I actually got the CD collection vid I'm coming up with. Stay tuned on that because you guys are gonna be amazed by what I got in store. But that's another story for a different day. And the thing too about this album, a lot of people were bashing the production as well because you know DJ Mark the 45 King, he didn't produce the album and things of that nature. So, but overall, I think the production served its purpose because it just adds more into the versatility on this project and things of that nature. Because if you listen to this album, it has like that how can I put this? Poetry slam lounge kind of feel to it, which I love kind of because I love like you know going like those lounges, spoken word lounges and things of that nature. So yeah, you know that lyricist lounge feel kind of like that. And what else about this project? What else? You also got to give Queen Latifah credit for mostly handling this whole album all to herself with besides the Safari Sister Swatch contributing, like there was hardly no guest appearances on this album. Something largely unheard of, especially in 1991. So in a way, I kind of feel like this album is highly slept on, in my opinion. I would recommend this album for anybody that is a very down to earth Queen Latifah fan, basically. Because if this album was released today, critics and fans would have eaten this album up, basically. They would have created this album because this album, if it wasn't for this album, you would not have had albums like, in my opinion, Lauryn Hill's Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You will not have Bahamadia Collage. You will not have maybe Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. Um, Probably half of the neo soul movement. Like a lot of kind of people kind of was influenced by this album, whether they know it or not, and shit like that. So yeah, very dope album in my opinion. This album's actually out of print. Actually, yeah, I got this in the vinyl store for like $6, so I was like, I'm not gonna waste this and shit like that. So stay tuned on my review for Black Rain and things of that nature. So, oh, and I also forgot to say, the reputation for this album was so bad that Tommy Boy actually dropped Queen Latifah from the label and things of that nature. So yeah, that's how bad this album was compared and shit like that. Cause I think this album kind of has more of a cult following these days, but it is what it is. So stay tuned on more. Peace.